The security camera blinked at me mockingly as I stood on my own front porch, still wearing my scrubs after a grueling 12-hour shift. The night air was thick, with the scent of pine and damp earth. My feet ached, my back was killing me, and all I wanted was to collapse into my own bed. Instead, I was staring at Lady Eleanor's smug face through the doorbell camera, trying to process what she just told me. "I mean it, Olivia," she continued, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against something off-screen. "Julian's finally seen sense. This estate belongs to our family, and you were never good enough for it, or for him. My name is Olivia Chen, and at 32, I was living through every daughter-in-law's worst nightmare, but unlike most women in my position, I'd seen this coming from a mile away. Lady Eleanor Blackwood had been trying to sabotage my marriage to her precious son, Julian, since the day we met 5 years ago. It started small. Snide comments about my humble background at formal dinners, constant criticism of my career choices, a surgeon, but when will you have time for heirs? And not so subtle attempts to set Julian up the daughters of her aristocratic friends. But over the past year, things had escalated. She'd gone from passive-aggressive to just plain aggressive, and tonight was clearly her grand finale. I shifted my weight, adjusting my grip on my work bag as I maintained eye contact with the camera. "Where's Julian?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "I'd like to hear this from him." Lady Eleanor's laugh, a brittle high-pitched sound, crackled through the speaker. "He's not here. He's staying at our country estate while he processes everything, as he puts it. But he left this for you." She held up a piece of paper that looked like a hastily scrawled note. "Would you like me to read it?" "No, thank you," I replied, already pulling out my phone. "I'll just call him myself." "Oh, he's changed his number too. Fresh start and all that." Her voice dripped with satisfaction. "There are some boxes on the porch with your things. Take them and leave, Olivia. Don't make this more difficult than it needs to be." I glanced at the 3 cardboard boxes, stacked neatly beside the door. They hadn't been there when I left for work this morning. I could see some of my clothes spilling out of the top one, hastily shoved in without care. My throat tightened, but not from sadness, from anger. "Eleanor," I said calmly, "I'm going to give you one chance to open this door and explain what's really going on. Because right now you're committing several crimes, and I don't think you want me to start listing them." She scoffed. "Crimes? This is my son's house. He has every right to." "This is my house," I cut her off, my voice sharp. "My name is on the deed. I paid for it with my own money. And what you're doing right now is illegal entry, theft, and harassment, just for starters." Eleanor tried to tear us apart, but she only succeeded in showing us what we're capable of surviving together. And sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet and Julian is sleeping peacefully beside me, I think about that moment on the porch, staring at Eleanor's smug face through the security camera. She thought she had won, thought she'd finally gotten rid of me. She never understood that real love isn't about control, it's about standing together, even when everything is falling apart. That's the lesson we carry forward. That's the story we'll tell our children someday. Not about the darkness we faced, but about the light we found on the other side. Because, in the end, love wins. Not the controlling, suffocating love Eleanor thought she was showing, but the kind that sets you free, that makes you stronger, that helps you become who you were always meant to be. And that's something worth fighting for. Lord Robert Blackwood finally broke his silence when the full extent of his wife's actions came to light. He filed for divorce and provided even more evidence. Years of hidden cameras in their home showing Eleanor's escalating behavior, secret recordings of her planning to remove Olivia from the picture, one way or another. Julian insisted on pressing charges, despite his father's attempts to handle things privately. He testified against his mother at the trial, his voice steady as he described how she'd systematically poisoned him, taking advantage of his trust to drug him into compliance. Eleanor was sentenced to 15 years for her crimes. She looked smaller somehow as they led her away, her perfectly maintained facade cracking to reveal the desperate, controlling woman beneath. She couldn't even look at Julian as she passed him. The aftermath wasn't easy. Julian needed therapy to process the betrayal, to understand how his mother's manipulation had shaped his entire life. I stood by him through all of it, watching him grow stronger as he unentangled himself from the web of control she'd woven around him. We sold the house, too many bad memories, and bought a small cottage outside the city, somewhere peaceful where we could build a new life together. Oliver and his wife became regular visitors, along with Robert, who was slowly learning how to be a father without Eleanor's influence. One evening, about a year after everything happened, Julian and I were sitting on our new porch, watching the sunset. He turned to me, his eyes clear and present in a way they hadn't been for so long under his mother's influence. "You did, didn't you?" he asked softly. "That's why you kept the house in your name, why you documented everything. You saw what she was capable of long before any of us did." I nodded, taking his hand. I hoped I was wrong, but I needed to be ready, just in case. He brought my fingers to his lips, kissing them gently. "Thank you," he whispered, "for being strong enough to fight for us when I couldn't." We sat there in comfortable silence, watching the sky turn from orange to purple. Sometimes the worst moments in life lead us exactly where we need to be. Eleanor had tried to destroy us, but in the end, she'd only made us stronger. The future stretched out before us, full of possibilities that had nothing to do with control or manipulation, just love, trust, and the quiet understanding that we would always protect each other. The occasional letter still arrives from the prison, Eleanor's attempts to explain, to justify, to manipulate even from behind bars. We don't read them anymore. Instead, they go straight into a file Jennifer keeps, just in case. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that you can never be too prepared. But mostly, we focus on building our new life, on healing, on a family we're creating, one built on love and respect, not control and fear. Julian was taken to the hospital, not mine, thank God, but a good one across town. Eleanor was nowhere to be found, but a quick check of her credit cards showed she'd booked a flight to her sister's place in the Hamptons. Jennifer arrived at the hospital just as they were finishing Julian's toxicology screen. The results confirmed what I'd suspected, a dangerous combination of sleeping pills and anti-anxiety medication, enough to keep him confused and compliant, but not enough to raise immediate alarm. "We can add attempted murder to the charges," Jennifer said grimly, reviewing the report. "Along with breaking and entering, theft, false imprisonment." "I don't care about charges right now," I interrupted, watching Julian sleep through the observation window. "I just want him safe." Oliver had gone to secure the house and change the locks again. The police had documented everything, including Eleanor's hasty evidence removal attempts. She tried to delete the security camera footage, but I'd already backed it up to the cloud. Every smug word, every threat preserved for the court to see. Julian woke up properly around midnight, the drugs finally clearing his system. I was sitting beside his bed when his eyes opened, clear and alert for the first time in what must have been days. "Olivia?" He reached for my hand, his voice hoarse. "What happened? The last thing I remember—" "Your mother," I said softly, squeezing his fingers. "She's been drugging you, Julian, for days, maybe longer. She tried to make it look like you left me." His face crumpled as the memories started coming back. "The tea," he whispered. "She kept bringing me tea, saying it would help with my stress, and then everything got fuzzy. I remember her talking about the house, about you, but it was like I was underwater. I couldn't think straight." I held him as he broke down, his body shaking with sobs of rage and betrayal. This strong, kind man who had always tried to see the best in everyone, even his mother, finally facing the truth about who she really was. "I'm so sorry," he kept saying. "I should have seen it all these years. I should have protected you from her." "Hey," I cupped his face in my hands, making him look at me. "You have nothing to be sorry for. She's sick, Julian. This isn't your fault." The police caught up with Eleanor 3 days later at her sister's house in the Hamptons. She'd been planning to flee to a secluded island in the Caribbean, where the Blackwood family had accounts dating back generations. Instead, she was arrested and extradited back to face charges. The evidence was overwhelming, not just from that day, but years of documented harassment, threats, and manipulation. The toxicology reports from Julian's system, the security camera footage, the illegal entry into our home, the carefully planned attempt to separate us and take control of Julian's life. The door cracked open, and there he was, my husband, looking dishevelled and dazed. His eyes were unfocused, and he swayed slightly as he stared at me. "Olivia," he blinked slowly. What are you doing here?" Mum said. I pushed the door open wider and caught him as he stumbled. "Julian, what did she give you?" Just something to help me sleep," he mumbled, leaning heavily against me. "Said I was too stressed. Needed to rest." Fury rose in my chest as I helped him to the leather couch. Eleanor had drugged him, probably with sleeping pills, maybe something stronger. No wonder he'd been so compliant with her plans. "Oliver," I called out, keeping my voice low but urgent. "In here!" Oliver appeared in the doorway, his face darkening as he took in his brother's condition. "Jesus Christ," he muttered. "Is he drugged?" I confirmed, checking Julian's pupils. They were pinpoints. "Call an ambulance, now!" The next few hours passed in a blur. The paramedics arrived, followed by the police. We took separate cars just in case we needed to transport Julian. The drive to the Blackwood family estate felt longer than usual, each minute stretching with possibilities. Was Julian okay? Had Eleanor finally pushed him too far? And most importantly, what had she done to make him go along with this? The house was dark when we arrived, but Eleanor's Bentley was in the driveway, alongside Julian's Aston Martin. My hands clenched around the steering wheel at the sight of his car. He was here. Oliver used his key to let us in, and we moved quietly through the silent house. Everything was immaculate, perfectly arranged, Eleanor's obsession with control evident in every carefully placed ornament and straightened picture frame. "Check the guest rooms," I whispered to Oliver. "I'll take the study." He nodded and headed upstairs while I made my way to Lord Robert Blackwood's study. Julian had always felt safe there, even as a child. It was the one place Eleanor rarely ventured. The door was locked, but I could see light seeping out from underneath. My heart pounding, I knocked softly. "Dad?" Julian's voice, groggy and confused, came through the door. "Julian, it's Olivia. Can you open the door?" There was a shuffling sound and footsteps. I hung up and started scrolling through my contacts until I found the one I was looking for. Oliver Blackwood, Julian's younger brother, picked up almost immediately. "Olivia! Thank God! I've been trying to reach Julian all day." My heart sank. "You can't get hold of him either." "No, and Mum's been acting weird. She told me he was working late, but when I called the office, they said he never came in today." Oliver's voice was tight with worry. "What's going on?" I filled him in quickly, watching as lights flicked on and off inside my house. Eleanor was clearly agitated, probably trying to figure out her next move. "Holy," Oliver breathed when I finished. "I knew Mum was losing it, but this is next level. Want me to come over? Please. And Oliver, bring your key to your parents' estate. I have a feeling that's where we'll find Julian." Oliver met me outside my house 20 minutes later, his face grim as he took in the boxes on the porch. Eleanor still hadn't emerged, though the security camera had gone dark. She probably figured out how to disable it. "I called Dad," Oliver said quietly, joining me by my car. "He's staying out of it," his exact words. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so similar to Julian's that my heart ached. "I'm so sorry, Olivia. I knew Mum was unstable, but it's not your fault," I said, checking my phone again. Still no word from Julian. "Ready to head to your parents' estate?" He nodded, twirling his keyring around his finger. "You really think she's got him there? Where else would she hide him?" There was a pause, and I could almost see the wheels turning in her head. "Julian told me this was his house," she said finally, but there was a note of uncertainty in her voice now. I smiled, remembering the day I'd bought this place. Julian had been hesitant about putting only my name on the deed, but I'd insisted. For tax purposes, I'd told him. But really, it was because I'd seen the way Eleanor manipulated him, the way she used money and guilt to control every aspect of his life. I wasn't about to let her have any claim on my home. Would you like me to have my solicitor explain it to you? I asked, already pulling up Jennifer's number on my phone. She'd be happy to walk you through exactly how much trouble you're in right now. You're bluffing, Eleanor snapped, but I could hear the fear creeping into her voice. Julian would never let you— I'm not bluffing, I interrupted again. And I'm done talking through a camera. You have exactly 30 minutes to open this door and get out of my house before I call the police. Your choice, Eleanor. I turned and walked back to my car, settling into the driver's seat. My hands were shaking slightly as I pulled out my phone, but my mind was clear. I'd been preparing for something like this ever since last Christmas, when I'd overheard Eleanor telling Julian that he needed to man up and take control of his life. I started documenting everything after that, every threatening text, every manipulative phone call, every surprise visit where she tried to catch me doing something wrong. I called Jennifer, my solicitor and closest friend since college. She picked up on the second ring. Let me guess, she said. The monster-in-law finally showed her true colors. She changed my locks, claims Julian's leaving me, I replied, watching the house she'd barricaded herself inside, with some story about him staying with them while he processes everything. Jennifer's sharp intake of breath was followed by the sound of typing. Have you talked to Julian? Can't reach him. According to Eleanor, he's changed his number. I paused, a thought occurring to me. She's done something to him, Jen. This isn't like him. Want me to send the police? I considered it for a moment. Not yet. Give me 30 minutes to try something first, but stay on standby. Always. And Olivia, be careful. Desperate people do desperate things.